The UK is set for yet another general election this December. It's the third in 5 years. In his fourth bid, Prime Minister Boris Johnson finally won Parliament's support to resolve their Brexit deadlock. Speaking earlier in the House of Commons, Prime Minister Johnson argued that a new and revitalised Parliament was needed to take Britain out of the European Union. He told MPs, "We are left with no choice but to go to the country to break free from this impasse." The ruling Conservatives will campaign to get Brexit done by pushing through PM Johnson's deal, while the main opposition, Labour Party, is promising a second referendum to let the people resolve the EU question. Now with us to tell us more is Foreign Editor Jeremy Au Yong. Hey Jeremy.
Hi Dylan.
Welcome to the show. Now Jeremy, why should we in Singapore be interested in a general election that is happening all the way in the UK?
Okay. So, they've had this election now, as you said in your intro, 3 times in 5 years. So the election itself is not that significant. The significance really is going to be its impact on Brexit.
Right.
And this is an election, more or less, that will determine the outcome of Brexit and whether UK leaves it or not. Now, why Singaporeans need to care about Brexit? There are a lot of reasons. Okay, there are 2 big reasons. First is the economy. So, UK leaving Europe, leaving the EU or not leaving the EU, that will have a tremendous impact on the global economy.
Right.
And Singapore, well, most other countries need to care about this. Singapore is quite exposed to the global economy. And actually this has been a year where the Singapore economy has already been badly affected by things like the US-China trade war. So we could do without another shock, and Brexit would be a shock. The second reason I think people need to care about Brexit is a little bit more profound, and that is about its impact on the EU. So the EU was really this first experiment at bringing countries together, forming a union to actually avoid the circumstances that led to the 2 disastrous world wars. So it has been this symbol, and we've always assumed, I think a lot of people assumed until the first Brexit vote, that the arc of history was always bending towards unity and integration. And countries coming together. Even in this region, ASEAN, we always talk about the ASEAN Economic Community, forming one community with our neighbours. If Brexit does happen, it would be the first real example of disintegration of a country leaving a union, and I think that would be quite a dangerous precedent.
Right. You briefly touched about this, but on looking at the bigger picture, what do you think? Do you think that this election is going to resolve anything, and what does this mean for the whole Brexit saga?
Well, I hope we resolve something, but the way Brexit has gone this past year is really hard to tell.
Right.
But basically, Parliament I think Boris Johnson has basically given up trying to solve the Brexit question in Parliament. So he's now putting the question back to the people. Yeah, so the Brexit deal is on hold right now. He has decided to do the election first.
Yeah.
And there are many reasons why people vote the government. In any general election, there are many reasons why people vote the way they do. This one feels like it's going to be distilled to this one question. It will function as a proxy second referendum. The Conservative Party, the ruling Boris Johnson's party right now, does not have a majority in Parliament. So it technically doesn't have a mandate. I think there's 288 seats, or 650. If it wins the election, that would be a clear sign from the British people that we want you to push through your Brexit deal. If any of the other parties do well, then that's a different message. So the Labour Party, the main opposition party, has said it wants to hold a second referendum. The other 2, the Liberal Democrats and SNP, have been quite clear they are just anti-Brexit. So it does feel to me like this election, depending who they will vote into government, will decide the fate of Brexit.
So it's quite clear, it's going to be quite a clear sign, possibly.
It better be.
Well, thanks so much, Jeremy, for that. Now, if you'd like to keep up with all the latest developments in the UK, of course, you can always head on down to our website at straitstimes.com. And once again, thanks so much, Jeremy, for being on the show.